Now we must be ruthless. Army of Shadows wasn't just a wartime resistance thriller. It was a cold blast of realism, forged under pressure, secrecy, and a filmmaking obsession with emotional truth. Scenes that looked calm on screen erupted from chaos behind the camera. Actors buckled under psychological strain. Entire sequences collapsed because director Jean-Pierre Melville refused anything less than absolute authenticity. Today, we uncover 15 weird facts about Army of Shadows. Stories of sabotage, forbidden filming, interrogations, vanished footage, and the real fear that haunted its cast. Fact number 15. Melville secretly recreates his real resistance safehouse. What audiences don't know is that Army of Shadows begins with a lie. Or rather, a secret. Melville doesn't build a generic resistance hideout. He reconstructs, piece by piece, the actual safehouse he used during World War II. The same layout, the same narrow corridor, the same creaking stove. It isn't nostalgia. It's confrontation. Crew members later recall walking inside this set and feeling the air tighten, not metaphorically. Literally, Melville demands poor ventilation to mimic wartime claustrophobia. Actors sweat through takes. Lights flicker from heat overload. A few technicians refuse to enter after hours because they claim the space feels alive. Not haunted, but watchful. It isn't production design. It is therapy through reconstruction, and it sets the tone for the entire film. Not imitation, but resurrection. Fact number 14. The opening parade scene was shot illegally. The goose-stepping march that opens the film looks choreographed and permitted. It wasn't. Melville shoots the entire sequence without authorization in central Paris. He blocks part of the Champs-Élysées before sunrise, hires extras at the last minute, and films so fast that passers-by think an actual paramilitary demonstration is unfolding. Police officers arrive midway. They don't understand what's happening. They order the production to stop. Melville refuses. He keeps cameras rolling until they physically intervene. By then, he has the footage he needs, footage that carries real tension because the extras fear being arrested. The chaos bleeds into the imagery. It isn't a reenactment. It's an eruption. The shot remains one of the film's boldest opening moments, born not from planning, but rebellion. Fact number 13. Lino Ventura shoots while suffering from silent pain. Lino Ventura gives the film its steel. Stoic, controlled, unshakable. But behind the scenes, he is fighting a private war. Ventura suffers from severe back problems during production. Sharp, immobilizing pain, not mild discomfort. Debilitating spasms that strike without warning. Melville refuses to soften Ventura's physical demands. The actor climbs stairs, jumps into cars, hauls bodies, and performs long takes that require unbroken posture. Crew members notice him gripping door frames between setups. Sometimes he disappears for minutes, breathing slowly until he can stand straight again. What audiences read as emotional restraint is often physical torment. His character Felix is meant to show endurance. Ventura lives endurance, not method acting. Survival. The pain gives his performance gravity no script direction could achieve, and it turns every controlled gesture into a battlefield victory. Fact number 12. The interrogation room was built to disorient actors. The stark interrogation chamber feels hostile on screen. The reason? Melville designs it to psychologically destabilize his cast. Walls are angled by a few degrees, not enough to be noticed consciously, but enough to create a subtle sense of vertigo. The floor is fractionally sloped. The ceiling sweats under overheating lights. Actors complain of headaches during long takes. Their balance falters. Their energy drains unusually fast. Melville's goal is simple. Replicate the loss of control, the erosion of identity, the creeping disorientation that real prisoners felt. Not through acting, through environment. It isn't just design. It is manipulation. And the result is chilling. Performers don't mimic fear. Their bodies generate it. It is one of the many reasons the film's brutality feels so disturbingly authentic. Fact number 11. A key train sequence nearly derails the entire shoot. There's a tense scene involving a train that looks smooth and controlled. The truth is wilder. Melville insists on using a real locomotive on an active rail line, timing shots between scheduled traffic. The production has minutes, sometimes seconds, to set up each take. Radio communication fails twice. A misread signal causes a near collision during a rehearsal when a freight train approaches faster than expected. Crew members panic. Operators shout warnings. Ventura pulls a younger actor out of the path of a moving carriage. The incident shakes everyone, but Melville refuses to abandon the location. He believes danger sharpens authenticity. It isn't recklessness. It's obsession. The resulting footage carries real stakes, because the cast feels the weight of every passing ton of steel. What audiences see as suspense is, in truth, survival captured on camera. Fact number 10. The silence in the film was a production nightmare. The The chilling silence in Army of Shadows feels intentional, controlled, masterfully restrained. But behind the scenes, it is chaos disguised as minimalism. Melville wants silence that feels weaponized, not empty, but pressurized. To achieve it, he bans ambient microphones on set. No natural room noise, no accidental footsteps. Every sound is artificially rebuilt in post. This makes production nearly impossible. Actors deliver lines in rooms so quiet that they describe it as performing inside a vacuum. Camera operators struggle because the whir of the equipment becomes painfully loud. Take after take becomes unusable due to microscopic noises. Fabric shifting, a breath taken too quickly, a prop settling. And right here comes your mid-roll hook. Go ahead and like and subscribe, because the deeper we go, the stranger this production becomes, and the next facts reveal consequences even the cast didn't anticipate. The irony. The silence that defines the film's identity is born from noise Melville couldn't control. Fact number 9. Melville refuses to let actors see dailies. Most directors review dailies with their cast and crew to refine performances. Not Melville. He believes self-awareness destroys authenticity. He forbids actors from seeing a single frame. Ventura protests. Simone Signoret questions the rule. Melville remains immovable. This creates a strange psychological effect. Performers have no idea how they look on screen. They cannot adjust expressions, posture, or pacing to please the camera. Instead, they exist inside scenes with raw immediacy. Melville wants instincts, not refinement. Spontaneity, not polish. The downside? Tension spikes. Actors request feedback and receive riddles instead. Do less. Be sharper. Or Melville's favorite, you are too aware of your face. No one knows what that means, but everyone fears failing him. When the film premieres, Ventura reportedly says he feels like he is watching someone else inhabit my skin. Not fiction, but dislocation. The dailies ban creates performances that feel lived rather than performed. Fact number 8. The weather betrays the crew in a critical outdoor shoot. There's a late film exterior sequence that feels crisp and controlled, but production records reveal the truth. The weather nearly ruins the entire shoot. Melville needs heavy overcast skies, flat light, zero shadows. Instead, the sun breaks through again and again, turning continuity into disaster. To fix it, the crew uses smoke pots to dull the light, but shifting wind blows smoke directly into lenses, blinding operators. Actors cough through takes. Call sheets become meaningless as the schedule collapses. At one point, a sudden downpour floods equipment cases and shorts out a lighting rig. Melville refuses to compromise. The team reshoots the scene across 5 unpredictable days, chasing clouds as if they were part of the cast. Sometimes production halts for 40 minutes waiting for a single drifting shadow to return. The result? A scene that looks effortlessly moody. What audiences don't know is that weather, not acting, provides half of the drama. Fact number 7. Simone Signoret's performance is shaped by real paranoia. Simone Signoret arrives on set with an unusual emotional burden. She feels watched, not metaphorically, literally watched. Reports later reveal that Signoret is under informal surveillance by French intelligence due to her political activism. Whether the monitoring is active or exaggerated doesn't matter. What matters is how she channels this anxiety. Her character, Matilda, operates in constant suspicion. She hides emotion behind a steel mask. Signoret doesn't need to manufacture that feeling. She is living it. Crew members notice her glancing at doorways between takes, scanning crowds during location shoots, keeping conversations short. Melville notices too, and he quietly adjusts the script to amplify her aura of unease. Fewer lines, longer silences. More shots of Signoret simply existing with tension coiled beneath her stillness. Not performance, but pressure. Not imagined fear, but lived experience. Her paranoia becomes the film's emotional anchor, a haunting realism no direction could replicate. Fact number 6. A major scene was lost and had to be recreated from memory. One of the strangest production disasters occurs midway through filming. A key sequence, a full day of footage, goes missing after a lab error destroys the original negative. No backups, no fragments. Nothing. Melville doesn't panic. He reenacts the entire scene from memory. He positions actors exactly as he recalls them standing. He reconstructs lighting patterns with startling precision. Crew members claim he remembers lens choices, exposure settings, even blocking transitions down to the step. The actors, however, struggle. Recreating emotional beats from scratch feels artificial. Ventura reportedly says, "I cannot repeat exhaustion." Melville disagrees. He pushes them until the original exhaustion returns. The recreated scene appears seamless in the final film. What audiences don't know is that a ghost version exists only in Melville's mind. A phantom sequence that shaped the rhythm of the movie without ever being seen. Fact number 5. The execution scene was filmed in total emotional isolation. The execution sequence feels drained of theatrics. Cold, resigned, terrifying. That effect is no accident. Melville forces the cast into emotional isolation to achieve it. He separates the actors hours before filming. No conversations, no rehearsals, no shared preparation. Each performer sits alone in a different room with doors shut and clocks removed. When shooting begins, they meet on set for the first time that day. The silence between them isn't acting. It is disconnection. Ventura later admits he enters the scene feeling as if something important had already died. Extras describe the atmosphere as suffocating, like stepping into an event that has already happened. Melville gives no motivational direction, none. He wants instinct, fatigue, and dread to shape the moment. The result is one of the most quietly devastating sequences in French cinema, a scene built not from performance technique, but from real emotional fracture engineered moments before the cameras roll. Fact number 4. A secret script revision changes the tone without telling the cast. Halfway through production, Melville rewrites several scenes overnight, not small adjustments. Tonal shifts that reshape entire character arcs. But he refuses to distribute revised pages. Instead, he feeds new lines to actors moments before takes, sometimes whispering instructions that contradict the previous day's tone. This creates confusion on set. Ventura's character suddenly becomes colder. Signore receives new dialogue that hints at vulnerabilities not previously scripted. Actors feel the ground sliding beneath their feet. Melville wants exactly that. The resistance lived in shifting truths, so the production must too. What audiences don't know is that many emotional beats in Army of Shadows come from these unannounced changes. A glance held too long. A hesitation that wasn't acting, but uncertainty. A line delivered with unexpected irony. The film's unsettling rhythm, its sense that danger comes from directions you can't anticipate, isn't just narrative design. It is built directly into the filmmaking process. Fact number 3. The prison escape scene caused real injuries. One of the film's most gripping sequences involves a dangerous escape from captivity. It looks tightly controlled. It wasn't. The cramped set leaves almost no safe movement pathways. The floor is uneven. The props are metal, not rubber. And Melville insists on long takes where actors must crawl, drop, and collide with real objects. During one attempt, Ventura scrapes his arm on an exposed metal edge, tearing skin. Another actor bruises ribs during a mistimed fall. Production brings in medics multiple times, but Melville refuses padded surfaces. War has no padding, he reportedly says. The injuries influence performances. Movements become cautious. Breathing becomes heavier. Pain becomes part of the texture of the scene. That authenticity translates directly into the final cut. A moment where desperation feels raw and physical. Not design, not method acting. Reality intruding through steel and sweat. Fact number 2. The film was hated upon release and disappeared for decades. It's hard to believe today, but Army of Shadows premieres in 1969 to brutal reviews in France. Critics accuse Melville of glorifying de Gaulle. They claim the film arrives too soon after political unrest. Some call it propaganda. The backlash is so fierce that distributors bury the movie. It vanishes from circulation. No international release, no cultural impact. For decades, the film exists almost like a myth, known only to devoted cinephiles and archivists. Prints fade in storage. Negative reels gather dust. Melville dies before seeing the film rehabilitated. Then, in the early 2000s, a restoration screens in New York. Critics reverse their judgment overnight. What was once dismissed becomes hailed as a masterpiece. The same qualities mocked in 1969 are now praised as visionary. Not failure, but resurrection. Not oversight, but rediscovery. Army of Shadows becomes one of cinema's great redemption stories. Fact number 1. Melville's personal identity is hidden all through the film. Melville is born Jean-Pierre Grumbach, but he adopts the name Melville in homage to Herman Melville after joining the French Resistance. That dual identity shapes his worldview and his filmmaking. Army of Shadows becomes his most autobiographical film, but he refuses to acknowledge it openly. Instead, he hides pieces of himself throughout the movie. A gesture a character makes, a phrase repeated in a diary, a particular way of standing in a doorway during a raid. Crew members later admit they suspect the entire film is Melville splitting himself into several characters. Felix's determination, Gerbier's stoicism, Matilda's moral conflict. It isn't homage, it is confession encrypted through fiction. Watching Army of Shadows becomes an act of decoding a man who lived 2 lives and filmed a third. Bonus fact: a lost Melville recording reveals his true intent. In 1992, during an archive review, curators discover an unmarked reel containing audio of Melville speaking privately to an interviewer. The recording predates the film by several years. In it, Melville says something astonishing. "One day, I will make a film where every frame is a funeral for those we left behind." That is Army of Shadows. Not entertainment, not reconstruction. A eulogy disguised as a thriller. A memorial encoded in shadows and silence. This revelation reframes the entire work. The film isn't simply about resistance. It is about grief that never stops breathing. Army of Shadows emerges from chaos, trauma, secrecy, and emotional truth. What audiences see is precision. What happened behind the camera was turbulence. And that gap between polished surface and lived experience is why the film endures as one of cinema's most haunting achievements. If you want more deep dive secrets into legendary films, hit like, subscribe, and step back into the shadows with us for the next story.